And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. I almost missed it then because I was clicking on Twitter. That was bad of me. I was almost a very bad host. I almost missed the start. But I didn't. It's Lite. It's the Lite. If you haven't seen this is the Absolute Lite. We talk about a topic for a short period of time, but we haven't done one. We're talking about this off air for quite a little while. And as you know, I don't come to Lite Bites without my pod buddy. Charlotte is here to join for a Lite Bite. Hello, Charlotte. How are you?
I'm really, really good, thank you, apart from surviving a pandemic, but being taken out by pollen 2023. My hay fever's bad.
Hay fever season is amongst us. And so if you suffer like we do from hay fever, it's horrible. It's horrible. People just sort of shrug it off, oh, you've got a bit of hay fever. It's like being itched from the inside. It's
honestly,
like really...
it's terrible. I've got an itchy nose now.
It is, yes. We've not got any bad habits. We've just got itchy nose.
I know. How are you anyway?
Are.
I didn't ask.
I'm doing very well. Again, apart from hay fever symptoms, which, to be honest, I don't think I've had it as bad as you today. So, yes, not too bad. It's been a very good week, very busy week. Football everywhere. I've had this kind of my podcast setup. This is a temporary setup that I do for the pod. I've had this all week for the football because then I can have two screens. I can have the television screen. So I've had Champions League on here, playoffs on the top telly. It's absolutely brilliant. I've enjoyed it. Welcome to Chris in the chat as well. He's joining us as well for today. It's been a little while since we did a Lite Bite. I think the Footy Scram was the last one. But we felt we had to do a Lite Bite this week because it's a birthday. It's a birthday of something you're very close and involved in with hergametoo's second birthday. So if anybody's new, maybe who doesn't understand hergametoo, or if you do, just to recap, I'm going to give everybody a quick question to Charlotte what hergametoo is all about.
Yes, so hergametoo is tackling sexism in football, whether it be obviously female fans, people playing football, people who work in football. It's just kind of getting the message through that football is for everybody. It's just not a typical male sport, as obviously people have said in the past. And yeah, it's a voluntary campaign. People do this alongside the full-time jobs, life in general. And it's just a really, really positive campaign, and it's just gone from strength to strength. It's amazing to see, and I'm just so privileged to be involved in it.
It's the speed of the success, really, isn't it? As you say, I was kind of amazed when it said it was his birthday. That was only the second birthday of hergametoo. It seems absolutely mad. Obviously, we talk about it a lot with you being on the podcast. but so even prior to kind of us doing the podcast, I was slightly aware of it. Probably the Lionesses was when it kind of really came out. And you think that was almost a year ago. So the absolute speed of which it's taken off has been insane. Absolutely insane.
Honestly, it's just amazing. And from that launch video, that was on FA Cup final day, obviously 2 years ago now. And from that video, it kind of went crazy, but crazy in a good way. And from then, it's just become massive. Obviously, we've got hergametoo USA as well. There's clubs that have joined in France. It's not just hergametoo football. It's gone to hockey, cricket, rugby. I'm sure it'll go to plenty of other sports as well, very quickly possibly as well, with everything that's going on. So it's just honestly gone from strength to strength, and it's so amazing to see as well, because I feel like as much as the women's game's growing, there's a lot more evolving in sport in general as well. Like you see female physios now. Rochdale previously had one. You see more females obviously want to get involved in football and playing football. We've seen obviously Wembley and watching the Lionesses, the FA Cup final at the weekend, and it's just going from strength to strength really. And obviously I'm not saying it's all down to hergametoo, but for campaigns like this, I think it's just so refreshing, and these are obviously helping, which is brilliant to see.
It's definitely making a difference. You say it's refreshing, and that crossover of women into what has traditionally been, let's be honest, a male sport. That's how people would think. That's what sort of the stigma trying to break down. To see that, and as you say, into different roles, into backroom coaching staff, we've seen officials as well in the football as well on the male side of the game, and it's kind of gone hand in hand with the women's football, the WSL, the Lionesses continuing to grow and having that kind of major message that sits underneath it. And so from the hergametoo itself, there's ambassadors at so many clubs now and growing weekly, and some of the big teams getting involved as well. So I mean, the size of it in ambassador wise, do you know, is there an official figure that?
There is an official figure, but because it's just growing every day, and honestly, these ambassadors come in, joining us each and every day. I cannot remember off the top of my head how many we've got now, but honestly, it's just continuously growing, and it's from obviously non-league all the way up to the Premiership. We've just had Liverpool have partnered with us as well, which is honestly massive for the campaign. And we've got player advocates as well, Seamus Coleman, which is amazing, Gabby George for Everton Women. It's fantastic, and it's so good to see, because I've mentioned it before, obviously speaking to you and speaking on podcasts. What you really need from people is, don't get me wrong, it's amazing us talking about it, being part of hergametoo, but role models, and those famous role models, and people who like not just us females look up to, but young. Obviously, you want to do the younger generation and young males particularly as well, because you want to kind of normalize it for them. That sport is for everybody. So to have those role models and those players that people look up to is just so important.
No, I agree. In that younger generation, as you said,
definitely.
To have, because you're trying to change, you're almost changing stigmas with older generations, perhaps from the past in some cases, and the younger generation the opportunity to, as you said, almost start that kind of level playing field. And they do. Role models are key in all aspects. Footballers, I think Chris mentions here in the chat, Rebecca Welsh is a brilliant referee who's come in and done bits.
Really is
super good. And they, that's anybody who wants to then get involved into, in that side of things, or anything else that's related, they can look up to these people. And not only that, in the age that we're at with social media, podcasts, YouTube, it's so much more accessible to see some of these things. So, I mean, have you found that, say, social media in particular has been such a key thing for the campaign?
Yeah, 100%. Just as a whole in general, to obviously get the message out there, but to obviously educate as well, because there's been times where people haven't necessarily agreed with the campaign, or thought we would like, this is a thing what people kind of think about us, that we're trying to take over and make it just our game. And it's not that. It's just to normalize that it is for everybody, no matter what sex you are, no matter what like race you are, sexuality, what you define as, it is for everybody. And that's the message we are trying to get across. So it's just being able to educate people on social media as well. And when you kind of put your point across, they kind of think to themselves like, yeah, I do kind of get that. And with me in particular, when someone's been quite ignorant in their opinion, I've said, what happens if it was your mum, your daughter, your wife, and your sister? And they kind of take a step back then and think, actually, I do get it. I wouldn't like it, kind of thing. And it's not necessarily trying to like prove them wrong or have a difference of opinions. If you kind of put it in that aspect and kind of educate them, or kind of see it from our point of view as well, they do kind of have more respect that way. That's what I've noticed when I speak to someone anyway.
Yeah, you're getting through to people on that kind of level to, as you say, to open their eyes, really, if nothing else. As Heather says in the chat, that's why the word "two" is in there. Exactly, it's hergametoo, not just specifically for saying
our game only.
Yeah, it's not just her game. That's a whole different. It's a whole different message. It's that involvement of things, and it does, and people's mindsets can get changed. People get their eyes opened, and people changing their views. I've found as a male coming through, having young daughters now, it changes things. It changes your perspective on things from their aspect, because you're now looking and thinking, well, I'd like to take them along, and it's not something I'd have had to consider in my life before. So it makes such a change, and having these messages out there is certainly something that's only going to help. It's not easy. It's not easy being a her game. You don't just get the title, which is a fantastic title, by the way, ambassador. It's love to be. I am the ambassador. It's such a title to have.
I've never felt so important in my life.
Is it? Yeah, you just shut down and say, "I'm the ambassador. I am the ambassador." But it's not simple, is it? There's a lot of work that gets put into, and a lot of the stuff that the girls and the support of the program are doing. You just want to sort of talk about some of the things you do with hergametoo from your side.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, I'm hergametoo ambassador for Rochdale. So it's kind of making the match day experience welcoming for females of all ages, making them feel safe, making them feel welcome, just making them feel part of it as well. So obviously, that's just from a match day. Obviously, I like to get involved with the ladies team as well, because I think the male team and having people come and support the male fans is brilliant, but I want to do it from a grassroots side and kind of encourage females to play football, not just come and watch it. So obviously I like engaging with obviously them. I like going watching them play, do training and be part of it. Rochdale in a community, because I think it's vital to have that community, especially with Rochdale being such a communal club. And family club, I want to get involved in that. So from that, me and some of my advocates have taken part in workshops to try and promote and grow confidence from all these females. We've kind of done stuff in the community as well with sanitary products, because we don't feel like people should feel uncomfortable coming to obviously a football match and not having those products. We do feel like they should be there for everybody to use. So there's a drop-off point at Rochdale now, which is amazing, where people can donate and drop them off so they can be used for obviously the female football teams, the female staff, supporters, but even people in the community as well who are struggling, because don't get me wrong, cost of living is expensive and there are people struggling out there. So we do think that's obviously vital. Yeah, a lot of online stuff, trying to spread the message out there that football's for everybody. Yeah, just a lot, really. I'm pretty much everywhere at the minute, but it's just trying to get the message across to everyone and just kind of normalize the fact that we should be able to have our say. And that's why I'm on this podcast as well, because as much as I do get sassy, I do like to get my point across. I just want to normalize that we can do that.
Well, absolutely. And that's what the podcast was all about. Yeah. So when we talked about setting up, that's what we wanted it to be. And this is why you're here, because we're like, we know Charlotte will give her opinion. We'll never have to worry about that.
Not scared to.
we know we're covered from there. I'd say it can't always be easy, that as you said, to try and get that message across has been difficult. And so we'll go to a question from the chat. It says, Charlotte, have you had much sexism in person at Rochdale? As you know, you sort of face some online. Is that something you've come across so much with the campaign?
To be honest, I've never had sexism at football games at Rochdale, even away games. I've never had that aimed at me in particular. It's always been on social media, and it's always when I've tried to have an opinion on football, or I've had the same opinion as everyone else on football, but because I'm female and I put it across, I've kind of got the backlash for it. Don't get me wrong, I've had some of our fans, only minority, be quite unsupportive about it, and I dare say, but you get them everywhere kind of thing. So it's just kind of not letting that get to you and not letting them negative comments get to you, because as much as obviously you want to, because you're using your time to kind of build the club up and kind of try and make it a positive place, and they do kind of get to you, but it's just, as much as you get them few negative comments, you get so many positive ones. And a lot of you have probably seen it on my Twitter as well, where there's just so many positive feedback, just positive comments in general. So I don't let it get to me anymore. It just goes over my head, because I think at the end of the day, if they don't like it, that's just a minority of people, and the majority, and at the end of the day, I'm trying to do something positive. So just don't let it get to me.
It's a positive message. People take it out. You're going to always have that because of how social media is, unfortunately, at times. But as you said, it's in the minority compared to a lot of the positivity that sees through. And the problem is football is polarizing anyway. It's very tribal. People with their own teams, it gets heated. We have stuff, comments off the pod, things that in terms of we do, opinions that we have, because quite often you're talking about a team or something. You're always going to have those people protecting, and then you add this element in. It's sometimes people go to that place, which is wrong. Obviously, talking about football, it doesn't matter who you're kind of talking to it with, that you're all sharing different opinions, but you're all valued and you're worth of having that opinion. Hence why we like doing the podcast with the chat. It brings different views together and say sometimes we're put right on things we get wrong as well, as needs to happen. So it's very good. So I mean, it's such a speed, as we said earlier, in terms of how it's moved forward. You've got situations now where you've got player ambassadors as well, sort of who are supporting, actual player advocates that you've got. I know that's something that that's been a real positive for you this campaign this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of mental, really, because a lot of people who know me, I'm very organized, and when I'm passionate about something, I do PowerPoints, I do Post-it notes, I've got notebooks. I'm one of them where if I'm passionate about something, I'll have to put it in a PowerPoint. So anyway, it was leading up to our dedicated fixture, and I just had a few ideas that I wanted the club to get on board with, but not just for that fixture, but throughout the season, because Rochdale have always been really supportive with me, and they're absolutely brilliant. If they can do something with my ideas and set them in motion, they will. Obviously, there's some ideas that they can't do so quickly. So I had an idea of, obviously, because like I mentioned before, I'm very passionate about the fact that if we've got player advocates and role models that can push the campaign, it'll push it even more, because they're these kids' role models, they're adults' role models, they're just there in the public eye. So I messaged a few of the hergametoo Lite team, and I said, I've got this idea about a player advocate. If I obviously speak to the club, would you be happy with going ahead? So we kind of put some, not terms and conditions or a contract, but we kind of put something together, what we thought a player advocate should do. So I've obviously got Richard O'Donnell, our goalkeeper. So he takes ladies training. He goes speaking to the ladies, the Rochdale ladies, once a month. It is more if he can, but obviously with him being, he lives in Sheffield, and with him being a footballer and all the games, he can't obviously do that much. So we put that in action. Obviously helping Rochdale in the community, which he's good at. So he goes into schools. He talks about hergametoo. He talks about just football in general and try to normalise it, whether that be taking part in PE sessions or just speaking to them. Obviously trying to get the team on board and educating them with what hergametoo is and the rest of the players, which is brilliant. And he's not done it yet because it was just before our dedicated fixture last year, but next dedicated fixture, obviously he'll try and push it from a player's point of view, and I'll try and push it from a fan's point of view. So yeah, that's just what I thought a player advocate should do, and why we should have player advocates, because I think they're the ones all these people look up to. So that's what we need, really.
You said it before, the role model bit makes a big difference, doesn't it? That recognisable face behind it, and by having not just a male, but having a male player and the club behind it, it really does show that the club is behind it by having that player, player with them.
I think as well, what we kind of need is, it's good having a player, but I think there's certain elements a player should have. So with us, it's Richard O'Donnell. He's been in the game for so long. Obviously, he's got a daughter. He's very outspoken about his female role models and how they've had a positive impact on his playing career. And now, obviously, without them, he wouldn't have been, obviously, the footballer he is today. I think there's certain elements you kind of need in a player advocate as well, because it's all right to just get a player advocate, but it's like Everton's, they've got Seamus Coleman, who I think is amazing, and everyone knows who Seamus Coleman is, and just the way he puts himself across. It's like the other week when he broke his leg. He broke his leg in the game, and he's still there, the passion that he has for football, and he's clapping the fans, and it comes across as a really likeable guy as well. So I think as much as it's great having player advocates, you do need to try and pick the right one as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably not a role for
Yeah,
everybody. It's just the same like captain, football captain. Not everyone's a captain.
exactly,
Everyone's got different
yeah.
personalities, but it allows that message out and that they're
Mm,
involved and want to be, and not just kind of put the name to it, but are
exactly,
actively
yeah, yeah.
involved in terms of what's happening. So, I mean, such a massive 2 years to get to kind of that point and having people involved. I guess the big question everyone asks is, what's next? What's next on the horizon?
Do you know what? With these girls and with everybody involved and with the support that we've had so far in these last 2 years, I have no idea what's on the horizon, but I think it'll be massive because it's just growing and growing every day. And honestly, I could sit here forever and just talk about how amazing everyone is, and it's not just from her game too and us advocates, ambassadors, but from everyone who supports us. Whether it's someone putting a tweet with a picture of the football team, or whether it's someone tweeting about their experience and whether it's a bad experience, what now because of us it's changed into a good experience. Honestly, it's just so refreshing to see, and I just still can't believe I'm part of it. Honestly, I have to pinch myself every day, and it sounds really sad, but just being part of not only her game too, but the community we have as well. Because whenever anyone's having a bad day, all these women are so supportive of everyone, and it's just brilliant, and they're just absolutely phenomenal. I could just speak highly about them continuously, but they are honestly all phenomenal. And like I said before, they do it alongside the full-time jobs, just life in general, the struggles that obviously people go through. They're just amazing. Everyone is.
As you said,
It's fantastic.
become a community, isn't it? There's a
Yeah.
community, a support network. As you said, so many people to bounce ideas off of. I'm sure you've got WhatsApp groups and all the rest of it, where you've got all
Yeah.
those opportunities to shut down. And of course, there was a party to celebrate the two
Yes.
years. And as per all birthday, I noticed the cakes and a birthday party go hand in hand. And I saw there was lots of her game to specific cakes, which was brilliant to do. And I spotted. So Heather says there's so much going on. I spotted Heather in the pictures as well. She managed to make it down there as the Bournemouth ambassador. So it's great to see everybody coming together and having the opportunity to celebrate the success and the hard work that everybody's put in together. And say echo Lisa's thoughts in the chat. You're all amazing, and Richard, of course, Richard O'Donnell, your
Yeah.
player advocate.
Can't forget Rich.
Can't forget Rich and what he's done. So yeah, I mean, it's such a brilliant cause, and the message is getting out there and getting more and more. You said more sports are involved, other countries, etc. You know, you could be the European ambassador, Shah. I reckon you'd be good at that. I reckon a regional ambassador.
It's one of them where obviously it'd be great, but at the same time, just some work that I've got on so far as well. I don't think they'd be able to handle me as well, especially when I get a bit sassy.
So this is it. You'll get them in check. This is why you're here on the podcast after time, to keep me and Josh in line, and Lucas as well. To be fair,
No.
So, yeah, exactly. It's such a massive stride forward in terms of what it's done, and we'll see what happens next. You know, I'm sure plenty of stuff is being discussed and will come up. And as Ever says, the group chat is fire between the girls, and I'm sure it is.
Oh, honestly, I love our group chat, but like I said, it's not just things to do with her game too. Like, we'll ask general questions in life, or if someone's having a down day, there's always people giving you a pick me up as well. And honestly, it's mental because I've not met all of these women and all of these people involved, but you feel like you've known them forever, and it's just amazing. And they're always the first ones to come and cheer you up. If you've got a problem, they're the first ones there. And not only just changing the obviously positive changes for everyone else and just because of a campaign, but in general for all of us, it's just really good that we've got a really good bunch that want to make positive changes for everyone, and it's working. It definitely is working.
It must be cool from where you've got that links with people as well when you get an away fiction. Are you coming up? Are you coming up? So yeah, you getting up?
Honestly, it's brilliant. I've met a few of them, and yeah, it's so good. And in January, Alison, the Oldham ambassador. So you'd think me and Alison, I'm Rochdale, she's Oldham. But honestly, she's so lovely. We get on so well. And it was her party in January. So there were some of the ambassadors who came to Oldham for that. So we had a meet up, and my advocate, Leanne, came with me as well. And yeah, it's honestly, it's so good from the social side as well.
You say even rival fans can get together and do something where there's a good
Exactly.
cause. It's like Josh and I on this podcast from
I
very
know.
different supporting backgrounds, but we get on and we make it work. It's never been an issue. So no, fantastic. We see what happens next, and
Exactly.
exciting things to come. So keep tabs on it all. I mean, we'll finish now because I think we're light, but this could be a massive episode.
I know.
Maybe,
I could do it forever.
maybe
Let's
for
make
3
it a
years.
series.
For 3 for 3 years, we'll do a massive long podcast about it and cover everything through. So we always do our own socials, but I suppose hergametoo social, Shah. Where can people find the stuff on hergametoo?
Yeah, so there's hergametoo website, which is, I think it's www.hergametoo.co.uk or com. I should know this. You're going to be mad at me.
Try them both. One of them will work.
Yeah,
within
it's
your
one
two
of them.
options.
But that's got, obviously, it's got all the links on, so you can visit the football page, obviously the other sports like cricket, hockey, rugby on there. All the list of all the ambassadors are on, and now you can contact them if you've got a problem, or obviously if you want to ask them a question. There's a blog as well with some of our stories, which is really brilliant. And there's a piece on with the work some of the clubs have done as well. So we're all going to have a club. Not a club. We're all going to have a page. We've all got a club.
We've got a club. Another club.
I know. We're all going to have a page for obviously our club and what we've achieved so far. So it's a brilliant read as well. So if you are interested in what some of the girls have done, definitely take a look. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as hergametoo, and we're now on TikTok. So you can watch some newly on TikTok as well from last Saturday. You can watch what we got up to at the hergametoo conference, the hergametoo party, and just keep up to date on that. So pretty much everywhere, which is good.
Pretty much everywhere, which is where we want it to be. Everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
The message is everywhere. So that was fantastic. hergametoo, get behind it. Of course, get behind your Rochdale ambassador,
Yes.
the ambassador, the podcast ambassador, European ambassador, whatever ambassador you like. Charles, where can people find? I mean, people know where you are, but let's just
on here Monday and Thursday.
Monday and Thursdays every week. Booked in. Where can people find you?
I know. I'm most active on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I'm SharXRFC. I forgot, and it's on there. I don't know what's going on with me today. And you can catch my Rochdale hergametoo stuff. It's Rochdale HGT, and that's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, and it's on Twitter as well. Some really good stuff on there.
Magical. Do give Shah a follow. I'm Up the FM Ducks on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on my website, upthefmducks.com. And of course, the podcast is the Absolute Football Podcast. You can catch us on Twitter, on TikTok, Instagram. So Twitter is at Absolute Ball Pod, TikTok is at Absolute Football Pod, and Instagram is Absolute Football Podcast _. We are live Mondays with the main podcast at 8 o'clock. You can catch that on record again on YouTube, on Spotify, on all your audio platforms, if that's how you like your podcast. But we are live on Monday. And then Thursdays is a mixed bag. Sometimes it's a light bite. Sometimes it's an all about episode on a different club. We like to keep you guessing.
If it's like that, it's me and Sambo always.
It's a light bite. It is. Josh will come back to a light bite. I have promised him there is a slot for him at some point. But tonight it was us.
Again.
It was us. Absolute pleasure to talk again too with you, Shah. And thank you everybody for joining us in the chat and everything else. But for now, we will catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.